Good evening to all the participants joining us from across the country. On behalf of the Beneficiary Schemes Directorate of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, it gives us immense pleasure to welcome you all to today's live webcast on the topic on the overdraft of time. Why? Hello, we are privileged to have with us today's speaker, CA Payal Jain ma'am, an accomplished chartered accountant, distinguished mentor, and inspiring thought leader whose rich professional experience and practical insights have guided and motivated countless professionals. Thank you, and now have the pleasure of inviting CA Payal Jan ma'am to deliver her address.
Thank you, Manashiji. Good evening, everyone. At the outset, I would like to thank the ICI Beneficiary Schemes Directorate, the chairperson and the vice chairperson for giving me this opportunity to interact with all of you. So it is actually always a privilege to speak before a gathering of chartered accountants because I know the kind of lives we all lead. So let me share my PPT and then we go ahead. Is this visible? Okay. So as I was saying, we work with deadlines that don't move. Clients whose emergencies always become our emergencies. Regulations that keep on changing again and again, and responsibilities that never seem to reduce. So, today, however, I am not here to discuss income tax, audit, GST, or corporate law. In fact, I want to discuss something that affects every one of those areas, something that every one of us has, but very few of us truly manage. I guess you all must have understood what I'm talking about. Yes, that is our own life. Let me begin with a simple question. How many of you have, at some point in your career, ever said these words? I'll start exercising after this audit season ends. In fact, the audit season, the return season is already going on. We have the deadlines of 31st July, 31st August, and 31st October. So, how many of us have said, have resolved, in fact, that we would exercise after this completes? I'll take my family on a vacation after this financial year ends. I'll read that particular book once this particular assignment is over. I'll take up my parents or maybe my spouse or maybe my children this weekend somewhere outside. I'll spend more time with my children after this particular project is completed. Or perhaps the most common sentence that we all professionals normally use, things will become easier maybe next month, isn't it? If you have ever said that, believe me, you are not alone. Everybody speaks this, including me, right? Though now that I have, mastered this thing, how to manage time, but yet still, I would say it is not 100% with me as well. I am in the same league. The interesting thing is that this next month somehow never arrives. One assignment is replaced by another, one deadline gives way to another, one responsibility leads to maybe two more, and before we realize it, years have already passed. So now I want you all to think quietly for a moment, not about your clients, I know it is very hard in this July season, but yet, not about your clients, not about your office, not about your pending files. Think about just yourself. When was the last time you did something only because it brought you joy? Not because it generated revenue, not because it added value to your practice, not because it improved your resume. Simply because it made you happy. Just think about it for a moment. Maybe you enjoyed music, maybe you loved sketching, maybe down the line, some years back, you enjoyed long drives, loved reading novels. Maybe you enjoyed simply sitting somewhere alone and thinking or rebounding your old memories, sitting with your family without checking your phone every few minutes. When was the last time you did all this? Just think about it. And if you are struggling to remember, that itself tells us something that we need to ponder very hardly, something that we need to correct honestly. And this is what I would be speaking about today. So, as chartered accountants, we are trained to measure. We measure profits, we measure growth, we measure productivity, we measure efficiency, we analyze ratios, we prepare budgets, we forecast cash flows, we identify risk, we perform due diligence, we evaluate businesses. But somewhere along the way, we stopped measuring something even more important, the quality of our own lives. Every year, we ask our clients, how has your business performed? Right? And today, I want each one of us to ask a different question to your own self. How has my life performed? Because success should never be evaluated only by the size of our practice. It should also be evaluated by the quality of the person running that practice. So, let me just give an example here. A, a chartered accountant, he had built a very successful practice over 30 years. His office had grown from merely two people to nearly 50 employees. He's highly respected, financially secure, professionally accomplished. And one evening, while cleaning an old cupboard, he found a handmade greeting card. It was from his son. And the card read, Dear Papa, I hope one day you become my client, because then I'll definitely get an opportunity to be with you, to meet you, to have an appointment with you. He actually smiled when he first read it, but then it dawned upon him. He realized that it had been written nearly 15 years earlier. He had forgotten about it completely. However, his son had not. That card did not question his professional success. It questioned the price this particular chartered accountant or maybe a professional had to pay for it. Right. So before we, go ahead with our seminar, webinar, in fact, and I tell you all the intricacies of today's topic, let me be very clear and clarify something very, very diligently, that today's session is not against ambition. It is not against hard work. It is not against building a successful practice or a successful career. I am a proud chartered accountant and I'm very proud to be one. I believe ours is one of the noblest profession. We create trust, we protect compliance, we strengthen businesses, we contribute to economic growth of the nation. Why only nation, but the global economy? Success is not at all the problem. The real question is, the real problem is, what is this success costing us? And today we are going to analyze that only. And in fact, I would also, make you understand the cost analysis, because we understand these terminologies better. So I would make you understand the opportunity cost, the cost analysis, and how we can, curb this cost to have maximum revenue of life, of course. So, because every achievement has a visible benefit, but it also has an invisible cost. Higher income may mean fewer evenings at home. More recognition may mean more pressure. A larger practice may demand greater personal sacrifices. The issue is not whether we should be successful. The issue is whether we are paying more than the success is actually worth of. So think about this from an accounting perspective. Whenever a company purchases an asset, we don't look at its purchase price. We also consider its maintenance cost, its depreciation, its repairs, its useful life, its return on investment. But when it comes to our careers, we often calculate only the returns. We rarely calculate the cost. Today, I invite all of you to calculate something different. Not your income, not your turnover, not your billable hours. I invite you to calculate the hidden cost of your success. Because if the cost becomes greater than the value, even the best investment becomes a poor investment. And what better is here to understand about this terminology than all of us? We are the master of, understanding these things. So what is this session about today? Over the next 2 hours, I am going to teach you time management. There are hundreds of books on that. I'm not going to teach you about that. Instead, I invite you to look at your life through a different lens of eyes. We are going to examine together questions such as, what are the hidden costs of professional success? Why do intelligent, disciplined people often neglect their own well being? How do we unknowingly invest all our energy in building a career while under investing in the relationships that give life a meaning? And perhaps the most important question of all, can we become more successful without becoming less alive? I repeat the question, can we become more successful without becoming less alive? I don't expect you to agree with everything that I say today, but I do request one single thing. For the next 2 hours, do not listen as a chartered accountant. Do not listen as a business owner. Do not listen as an employer. Do not even listen as a speaker evaluating another speaker. Listen simply as a human being, as a person, because beneath every designation, a CEO, or maybe a partner, or maybe a head of some business house, there is a person behind, and sometimes that person definitely needs an attention more than the profession does. So let us begin with the first and perhaps the most important idea of today's session. Most of us believe success is expensive because it demands effort, right? I believe success is expensive for a completely different reason, because every success comes with an EMI, right? We do understand the housing loans and or maybe the other loans and the EMI, right? So here today we are not discussing about financial EMI. It is a life EMI, right? And unless we consciously calculate those installments, we may wake up one day maybe to realize that we have paid far more than we were actually intended to pay the EMI, right? We have even paid the principal and the interest, and in fact, we have foregone ahead of it and paid the extra EMIs. Does anybody here wants to do that financially? No, right? So then why with are we playing with our lives? Why are we doing this in our life? Let us understand what I mean by that. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me begin this with a question again. If I ask all of you, what is the biggest expense in your life? Just ponder over it. What is the biggest expense in your life? Some of you would say your home loan, right? Some would say children's education. Some may say medical expenses. Some may even say taxation. Yeah, paying a lot to the government. But I believe there is another expense that none of us record in our own books. It never appears in our balance sheet, thanks to the some boards and government. They have started with this environmental issues and sustainable living, wherein sometimes these human capitals are also endorsed, but yet it is very uncommon until now. So no accounting software captures this cost, this expense that I'm talking about. No ERP tracks it. No auditor even reports it. Yet, every successful professional, why only successful? Even those who are, a little bit under professional, under managed in their profession, yet they pay it. And I call it the EMI of success. So let us understand what is this EMI of success, a new concept that I have built up for today's session. When we hear the word EMI, we immediately think of something. You receive something valuable today. In return, you make regular payments over many years. Yes, very simple definition of an EMI, right? So you enjoy the house today, for example, but you repay the bank every month. You enjoy the car today and you repay every month. Now, think about professional success. The day you became a chartered accountant, you received something highly valuable. What is it? Just thought. Give a thought. So it is respect, recognition, opportunities, income, trust. Yes, anybody has something to add on? But success also quietly handed you another document. No, I'm not talking about your membership certificate. An invisible repayment schedule. The repayments are not made in money, they are made in late nights, missed dinners, cancelled holidays, mental fatigue, constant availability for not for your family, friends, or yourself, but for your clients, for your profession. Decision that is overloaded, the pressure of work, the expectations of everybody, the responsibility. And every successful person, believe me, every successful person pay these installments. But here, the only question that arises is, are you paying the right amount? Now, again, let me give an example over here. A young chartered accountant, say, started his practice in a rented room, right? His dream was very simple. I want an office where clients feel proud to visit, right? He worked tirelessly. There were days when he worked, in fact, nights, when he worked till 2 a.m. in the nights. There were Sundays that were spent at the office. Family functions were skipped. Vacations were postponed. Festivals were shortened. After 12 years of this kind of life, his dream came true. He inaugurated a beautiful office, a very elegant reception, modern conference room, excellent infrastructure. Everyone who visited admired this office like anything and congratulated him for his achievement, right? During the inauguration, someone asked his daughter, Beta, how do you like your father's new office? Somebody just passed on this question to his daughter, and she looked around and innocently replied, it is very beautiful. I wish I had seen him build it. That one sentence, again, I'm repeating, it is very beautiful. I wish I had seen him build it. That sentence says everything. She saw the building, but she missed the builder very badly. Now, please don't misunderstand me here again. There is absolutely nothing wrong with ambition. Again and again, I am declaring this, that there is nothing wrong having high aspirations. There is nothing wrong with growth. There is nothing wrong with building an outstanding practice, or maybe achieving heights in your employment, reaching that CEO level, or maybe an owner of the business house. But the question that should reflect on every step is, the question is not, did you achieve the success? The question should be, why did success quietly collect from you? What did the success quietly collect from you while you were, celebrating it? So, here, let us do an exercise. Oh, I would like everyone to take a sheet of paper, maybe, and draw two columns like it is there on the slide. Just draw two columns and write these two. On the left side, just write what did success gave me, and on the right side, just write what success asked from me. Take a single minute and ponder over it. Don't overthink. Just, just write as whatever comes to your mind. Not looking at the slide, in fact, right now. Just don't, whatever clicks you, write it there, scribble it there. But just write it honestly. So perhaps success gave you financial independence, it gave you professional confidence, recognition, a comfortable home, high opportunities. Now, write in the second column. What did it take away from you? What were the EMIs that you had to pay? Long working hours, stress, missed family events, weight gain, sleep deprivation, reduced hobbies, limited personal time, pressure to always perform. And as you complete both these columns, look at them carefully. Just look at them carefully. For many professionals, this is the first time, I bet on it that this is the first time that they have consciously calculated both sides of the transaction. Otherwise, what happens is normally we just look about to the left side, that I have received respect. I have received recognition when I was a chairperson, maybe. So I received recognition all over India. I had so many opportunities. I am doing this kind of a work. I'm doing that kind of a work. I'm also into sustainability. I'm also into outsource working from foreign countries, and I have so much of uh, 8-digit income or maybe turnover, and so many people trust me for this. But then, have you ever thought about this right column as well, that while you were calculating, while you were earning this left side column, there were so many of right side EMIs that you were paying. Think about it. Consciously calculate these EMIs and just check, are these EMIs more than this principal amount of yours? Have you paid an extra EMI, or maybe many of the extra EMI? And how are you going to cut down this? How are you going to see to it that year and after you're not going to pay not a single extra EMI for achieving this success? So, one lesson that finance teaches us is this, that nothing valuable comes for free. Every investment has a cost, every return has a risk, every asset that you have purchased has maintenance. In fact, even the small mobile of yours has maintenance. Life is no different at all. It is the same. The life is also this, it is very highly valuable. In fact, it is the most valuable asset of your being. The problem is not that success has a price. The problem is that most of us never ever negotiate that price. We simply keep on paying, month after month, years after years. We are just paying and paying and paying without asking, is this really worth it? Am I doing something correct by just paying on and on and on? Have I also even received that much of asset in my life, that much I have paid? So imagine, uh, let's again take an example. Imagine two chartered accountants, both started practice in the same year, both are equally competent, both work very hard, and after 15 years, this first CA chap of ours has built a large practice, higher turnover, more staff, more clients, and this second gullible CA, I would call him, has a moderately successful practice. He also takes a family vacation every year. In fact, he earns that much that he can afford a family vacation every year. He exercises regularly. He reads books, keeps one evening every week exclusively for either himself or for family or for friends. He also mentors young professionals. And now I ask you, who is more successful? Most people immediately say, I have this experience whenever I take this session anywhere. Immediately, the answer that I get is, it depends. Exactly. That's what. It depends, because every success cannot be measured by only one variable. Turnover is one measure, health is another, peace is another, relationships are another, character is another, contribution is another. Real success is actually multidimensional. It is not just a turnover that you have achieved. Turnover is just a part of that entire circle of success. You have to have health, you have to have peace, you have to have relationships, you have to have contribution towards environment, towards society. So As professionals, we negotiate with clients every day for fees, for deadlines, for deliverables, scope of work, but we rarely negotiate with ourselves. Every new responsibility gets accepted, every new committee, every new assignment, every new opportunity, every request, without asking, what am I giving up in return? There is an economic principle called opportunity cost. We all are very nicely aware of this. So, whenever we choose one thing, we automatically give up something else, right? So, the real cost of saying yes to one more that particular assignment may actually be saying no to your daughter's annual function, or maybe to your own health checkup, or maybe your weekend with some parting somewhere. Or see, opportunity cost is invisible, that is why it is ignored. So over the years, I have interacted with, hundreds of chartered accountants through these kinds of webinars, or maybe whenever I have attended the um, physical seminars and conferences. So not only chartered accountants, but in fact, so many professionals that I have interacted with, the partners, the young practitioners, the industry professionals, government officers, faculty members. What strikes me is this: I have rarely, this would be not even 10%, I should say. It's only 5% of people who regretted working hard. But in fact, totally oppositely, and vice versa, I may say that I have met 95% of people who regretted postponing life. So, SAE, when I was there conducting a seminar for professionals in an industry, I was once told by somebody that I can recover money, I can rebuild a practice, but I cannot attend my son's childhood now. A person aged 65 years regretted this, that I have achieved everything financially and professionally, but I lost those moments when my son was walking for the first time, or maybe he was presenting himself in his school annual function. So that particular sentence stayed with me, and in fact, in every of my such kind of topic, soft skills topic of webinars, I quote this example, because it reminds me, as well as it will definitely remind everybody of you, that some opportunities don't get carry forward. They are like that unabsorbed loss that is, not allowed to carry forward, and you have to, uh, forego with it, right? So we often define wealth by numbers: income, investments, assets, net worth. But suppose if I asked you to define a wealthy person without using money, what would you say? Just pour in your ideas. How would you define a wealthy person without using money? So it would be, perhaps someone would say, having a good health, someone whose children enjoy spending time with them, someone who sleeps peacefully, someone who has a meaningful friendship, someone who looks forward to Mondays rather than dreading on them, someone who can switch off work without guilt. That too is wealth. Have we ever thought it this way? Have we ever given an insight to this area of life as well? And yet, no, we haven't. But today you should check on this. And yet we rarely include all these things in our definition of success. But have this area also thought of. All these things are also successes, because having lots of money, having a very good practice, having recognition, having respect is a part of success. It is not entire success. Similarly, having peace, having friends, having time to spend for yourself is also success. When you can go on any vacation without your laptops and mobile, that is also success. So I have this success EMI checklist on your screen. Just go through it. Whenever a new opportunity comes your way, and you should necessarily ask yourself these five questions. What will this opportunity give me? What will it demand from me? Is the return worth the sacrifice? Who else will pay this price beside me? And believe me, when you are asking these questions, do not think about only the financial angle. Think about the other ways also that I have already, talked about before these last half an hour. Because sometimes our family also pays the EMI for our ambition. And finally, the last question: if I continue paying this EMI for the next 10 years, will I still be happy with my decision? These five questions won't stop you from succeeding, financially succeeding. In fact, I should quote it this way, that it would not stop you from financially succeeding, but they will help you succeed consciously. They will help you have the other parameters of all success also included on this, on your success. So just take a screenshot of this slide and have it pasted somewhere where you can read it every day. And whenever you get a new opportunity, just have this checklist, tick tick tick. And this way you can, manage your time, you can manage your things, you can manage your life. Imagine that every achievement in your life came with an invoice, not in rupees, not financially, but in moments. The invoice might read: three missed anniversaries, 20 cancelled vacations, 500 late dinners, one neglected hobby, several forgotten friendships, and countless evenings saying, I'll come in 5 minutes. What if success sent us such invoices every month? Would we still make exactly the same choices? No, right? Perhaps really not. And if you have started, consciously thinking about this way, I would feel that my webinar today has become a success. If it is really, really very important to understand this hidden cost as well, this opportunity cost as well. So, but at least you would make a conscious choice. So, success is not free, and nor should it be, definitely. But success should, again, financial success should never demand payments that improvise the rest of your life. The objective is not to reduce ambitions. The objective here is to ensure that the price that we are paying is one we willingly choose, not one we discover that it is too late now. So, if success has an EMI, then the next question naturally arises: where do these payments actually go? Right? So, why do some professionals feel exhausted even when they love their work? The why do capable people constantly feel drained? It isn't always because they work too much. Very often it is because they are losing energy in places they never notice. Just as a profitable business can suffer because of unnoticed leakages, our lives too can slowly weaken through invisible drains. So let us move, to the next part, the four invisible leakages where your life quietly slips away. So we have discussed that success has an EMI. But have you ever wondered why two professionals can work the same number of hours, yet one goes home feeling satisfied while the other feels completely drained? Isn't it? This happens, right? So it isn't always because one works harder, but it is because they lose energy differently. Let me explain it more, for next half an hour, maybe 20 to 25 minutes. I'll explain you what are these invisible leakages that we have in our life and from where these energy is draining off. Imagine a company, its turnover is growing, sales are increasing, the profit and loss account looks very healthy. Yet, at the end of every month, there is cash flow crisis, right? How is that possible? Just think of it. Give me some, say, insight on this. How is this possible? So here I have a finance team that investigates about this, and they discover there wasn't one big fraud, there wasn't one huge loss. Instead, there were dozens of small leakages in the pipe. Yeah, inventory wastage, duplicate payments, idle machinery hours, excessive power consumption, delayed collections. None of them looked significant individually, right? Maybe uh, 2 3 years back or 5 years back, people were not even concentrating on all these leakages in their companies, right? So but together, when all these things happened, they slowly weakened the businesses. Life works exactly the same way. Most professionals don't collapse because of one major event. Many a times you hear, especially during these seasons, tax seasons, that a chartered accountant had a severe heart attack, or maybe sometimes you also hear the sad news of they are collapsing in the office, or maybe while doing the morning walk, and they expired, which is very saddened and hard to hear. But this is not that particular tax season pressure. It is that cumulative, so many seasons, so many pressures, so many years of fatigue that comes to an end that day. So today I want to discuss these invisible leakages, not because they make us less productive, but because they slowly make us less alive. The first one is attention leakage. Let me ask you here again something. Have you ever opened your laptop to finish one important assignment, and 30 minutes later you realized you had replied to six emails, checked WhatsApp, read two LinkedIn posts, watched one short video, and completely forgotten why you had opened the laptop? Has this ever happened with you? It happens with me many a times. Don't worry, you're not alone. Research tells us that our attention is now one of the most contested resources in the world. You can, just Google on this, and you'll understand the strategies and the numbers of people who are here with us. Every notification, every email, every message, every app, every platform is competing for one single thing: your attention. And here's the irony: as chartered accountant, we guard our clients' money carefully, but we often give away our own attention freely. Think about your office. You are reviewing an audit file, right? A WhatsApp notification appears. You respond. Then someone walks into your cabin, a client calls, your assistant asks for some approval, an email pops up, you switch to another file. By lunchtime, you have been busy continuously, yet you have completed very little meaningful work. Attention has become fragmented here. You wanted to give attention to that one particular assignment that you wanted to complete by today because it was a deadline to submit that report. But instead, you have been, your attention was diverted to that WhatsApp notification, or maybe giving instructions to your assistant, or maybe that person who had walked into your cabin. And because of this undivided, when we used to study, everybody used to tell us, have that undivided attention, focus on your study. Why can't we apply that same thing on our office work as well? Have that undivided attention. When you want to complete something, just keep your mobile phone on a silent mode. Re- Put that D&D note in front of your office door, and work diligently for that one particular assignment. Believe me, that assignment, which normally took you one full day, would be completed in maximum 2 hours. I can bet on this. I have experienced this since so many, like last, I can say 5 to 6 years, I have experienced this. Before that, even I was the same. That divided attention, that distraction always took me more time to complete one assignment, and that brought me frustration. But now I have that undivided attention, and I complete things in a better quality as well as in lesser time. So, again, once a partner of mine told me, I work for 12 hours every day, but I hardly get 2 hours of real work done. Initially, I thought he was exaggerating, and then he tracked one day honestly. He discovered he had been interrupted more than 60 times, not by major crisis, by tiny interruptions. Each interruption lasted 2 or 3 minutes, but every interruption demanded something much bigger. It demanded his attention. And every time attention shifts, the brain takes time to return to deep thinking. This is scientifically proven. When you shift a lot in various, you juggle in various works, your brain gets camouflaged, it gets confused, and it is not able to, concentrate on one particular thing. And when you come back to that work again of writing your appeal, maybe, or drafting some report, you have to start again. Just observe it once, and you'll understand that yes, this is a fact, and productivity is hampered. So, productivity was not a problem for that partner of mine, but fragmentation was. So, let us do a quick exercise here. Think about just yesterday, not your entire week, but just yesterday, or maybe just today, this first hour of your work. How many times did you check your phone? Don't answer aloud, just answer to yourself. Just estimate how many times have you checked your phone. You don't even remember how many times, 20 times, 40 times, 80 times, or maybe more. You don't even remember, it is on your reflex, right? Now ask yourself another question. How many of those checks were genuinely necessary? Can they would have been avoided? Did they really needed your attention? But sometimes we don't lose hours, we lose moments. And these hundreds of moments together, these moments becomes years, becomes hours, becomes days, and becomes years, and we do not understand that. So next time, just do this exercise. Observe for a single day. If you give Are you giving an undivided attention, or you are giving a fragmented attention to your work? And what difference does it make? So let us go to the next leakage. The next leakage is decision leakage, one of the biggest misconceptions about professionals is that our biggest expenditure is time. It is not. It is decision making. This is our biggest expenditure. From the moment we wake up, our brain begins making decision. What should I wear? Which client should I call first? Should I approve this expense? How should I reply to this email? Can this assessment be challenged? Should we hire another employee? Should I attend this meeting? Should I accept this assignment? Hundreds of decisions every single day. And here's something very fascinating about it: the quality of decisions declines as the day progresses, not because we become less intelligent, because we become mentally tired. And this is called decision fatigue. Just go on your any of AI tool and read about this decision fatigue, and read how it is affecting your work. That is why sometimes we postpone important decisions until tomorrow. Isn't Does this not happen with you also? That, I'm blocked today. I do not have that sane thinking power today. I'm not going to think about this today. Let me think about it tomorrow with a fresh mind when I come in the office in the early morning. Why do we say this? Because by the end of the day, we are decision fatigued, right? So, not because we lack competence, but because our mental energy has already been spent. Imagine it's a 9 a.m., right? A client asks you for a strategic advice. You are fresh. You analyze carefully. Now imagine the same question at 9:30 p.m. in the night. After a day filled with meetings, calls, emails, deadlines, staff issues, travel, would you answer be exactly the same that you had given in the morning 9 a.m.? Perhaps not, because you are the same person, isn't it? But the quality of thinking depends upon the quality of energy that is available with you. So ask yourself, which decisions deserves your best thinking, and are you giving them your best hours or only your leftover hours, right? So this is your second leakage, the decision leakage. You have to prioritize the decisions. You have to give importance to the proper decision making, and then only this leakage would be, stopped off, and there would be this hole in your life would be stopped, and there would be no leakage, right? Let's go to the third leakage, emotional leakage. This leakage is the most invisible one, right? And in fact, the most expensive one also. Every unresolved conflict consumes emotional energy. An unfinished conversation, a misunderstanding, a disagreement with a colleague, guilt about not spending enough time with family, a client who spoke rudely, a staff member who resigned unexpectedly. These incidents may end externally, but internally they continue, sometimes for days, sometimes for months, sometimes for years. Professionals often say, I left office at 7 p.m., but mentally they never left. Only today in the morning, I was telling somebody that your professional time starts at 8 in the morning when a client have started calling you and you have started responding, right? Maybe the client has called you because he felt that it was an urgent thing, he was in a panic, but you have to decide when you have to answer. And thankfully, with all these mobile and smartphones and all, you know who's calling you up. So just have those boundaries set, that you are going to answer the work calls only in the office hours, right? So mentally, you never leave your office at 7 p.m. You you are 24 by 7 available for your client. knowingly or unknowingly. Even if you're not interacting with them, you're thinking about them, right? So their body came home, their mind stayed at work, but and when your mind is somewhere else, your family receives your presence but not your attention. So a little boy once asked his mother, "Why does Papa always look at his phone while talking to me?" The father wasn't ignoring him intentionally, he was trying to manage work. But children do not understand workload because they have not experienced it. As a mother, maybe you are understanding that the father is not doing it intentionally, or maybe he's not even given a thought to it that his child is missing him. But that child is proficiently missing his father. He knows that he's physically present there, but he is not giving his attention to him, and he's feeling bad about it. The children do not understand the pressure that you have been, facing. They understand that you are not giving them attention. Maybe they do not speak it loud, but somewhere their behavior does. You have to analyze this, and you have to understand what is your priority. I am again and again saying, I am not saying that this is not, work is not your priority, but managing work is really important, not for only yourself, not only for your family, for your friends, but also for yourselves. You have to manage things properly, and believe me, when you start managing things, you are doing everything. You're giving attention to your family, to your friends, to yourself, and to your work as well. And also, the work that you are doing is so qualitative that you grow proficiently. I mean, this is what I have experienced when, since when I had, started creating boundaries everywhere. When I am at home, I do not work. But when I am at work, I do not give attention to my home as well, right? So this is the kind of balance that I have done. Not that I'm saying that if my child is, hospitalized, or maybe having some urgent work and I'm not answering his call, I do that. But then I know how to manage this. Only yesterday, I would like to mention that only yesterday I was watching the movie Ikka, and I saw that this person, Sunny Deol, what was his name there? Mr. Arjun Mehra. He is a very good lawyer, a very well known lawyer, and he was giving some seminar like me there on some stage. His daughter got his daughter was bleeding by nose and she was hospitalized, and his assistant got a call from his wife. And he told that, "Sir, this is very urgent." He immediately saw that on the screen that his wife was calling, his assistant whispering that this is urgent. He very nicely concluded that seminar in a minute, and immediately he was in the hospital. So, this is the kind of balance that you have to make in your life, and this is possible only when you manage your time properly. You give importance, you prioritize things, and you delegate. There are, many things that you have to do, and you should know how to manage all those things, right? So let me ask you a very difficult question here. When was the last time someone spoke to you for 5 uninterrupted minutes and you listened without checking your phone? Okay, fine. I can say that you kept your phone aside, right? So you did not check your phone. But thinking about work or preparing your reply, listening, you were just hearing. Listening is these days become very rare, not because people have stopped talking, but because attention has become scarce. So again, emotional leakage, very very important one. Think about it. Let's go to the next leakage, identity leakage. Now we come to perhaps the most dangerous leakage. Somewhere in our professional journey, We slowly stop introducing ourselves by our names. Instead, we introduce ourselves by our profession. I am a chartered accountant, I am a partner, I am a CFO, I am an auditor. There is nothing wrong with being proud of your profession. The problem begins when your profession becomes your entire identity. Ask yourself, if tomorrow someone removed your designation from your name, your office, your visiting card, your email signatures, would you still know who you are? That's a difficult question, isn't it? Because many professionals unknowingly build an outstanding career while forgetting to build a meaningful life beyond it. So once, I was into a seminar for doctors, and I met a retired professional there, a very financially secure person, highly respected, successful by every measure, yet he confessed, I don't know what to do every morning. For 40 years, his profession gave him identity. The day he retired, he didn't lose income. He lost routine. He lost recognition. He lost purpose. Every day, morning it was for him to plan the clinics, the operations, and all that. But when he retired, he did not have any routine, he did not have any hobby, he did not have any friends, he did not know where to go and what to do. So that conversation made me realize something. A profession should enrich your identity, it should never replace it, right? Along with your profession, you should always also have a hobby, you should always have a friends and families and relationships at the end of the day, wherein you can go and talk to them or discuss things, or maybe chill out, just sit there and have a cup of coffee. So think of all these four leakages as four taps. None of them pours out liters of water every minute. Each one is just dripping very slowly, very quietly. Attention, decision, energy, emotional well being, personal identity. Individually, they don't appear dangerous. Together, they leave us exhausted. And that's why many professionals say, I don't know why I am so tired. Sometimes the answer isn't that you are doing too much. The answer is you are losing too much. You are leaking too much. So here I want to you all to make four small notes. Complete these four sentences honestly for yourself. Just write it down somewhere for yourself and ponder over it for 2 minutes. I lose attention because. Why? I lose mental energy because. Why? I lose emotional peace because. I lose myself because. Don't worry, I don't want any answer for me. Just write these answers for yourself and ponder over it. This is your own internal audit. And the first step of any audit is not correction, it is honest observation. Write it for yourself, ponder it over yourself, and think about it, how to correct it, right? So, professionals, always ask, how can I become more productive? Perhaps we should ask a different question. What is quietly reducing my capacity to perform at my best? Because increasing output is only one side of the equation. Reducing unnecessary leakages is equally important. A business doesn't become stronger only by increasing revenue, it also becomes stronger by preventing avoidable losses. The same principle applies to your life. Imagine your life as a reservoir. Every day you pour energy into your work, your family, your clients, your responsibilities. That's natural, isn't it? And that's necessary also. But if this reservoir has hidden cracks, leakages, it will never fill completely. No matter how much effort you put in, success is not only about pouring more in, it is also about repairing what is leaking out, right? So far we have explored the hidden cost of success and the invisible leakages that quietly drain our lives, but there is another question we rarely ask ourselves: why do intelligent, disciplined, and highly successful professionals continue this pattern even when they know it is not sustainable? Why do we keep saying yes when we are already overwhelmed? Why do we find it difficult to stop? Why do we sometimes feel guilty when we are resting? The answer lies in something deeper than ambition. It lies in our relationship with achievement itself. So let us now explore about this. We have discussed success as as an EMI. We have also explored the invisible leakages that silently drain our energy. So now we come to perhaps the most uncomfortable question of today's session. Why do intelligent people continue a lifestyle that they know is exhausting? Why do successful professionals keep talking, taking on more work even when they know they are already overloaded? Why do they find it difficult to disconnect? Why do they feel guilty while they are resting? The answer is, I believe it is not time, it is not clients, it is not deadlines, it is something much deeper. Sometimes we become addicted to achievement itself. So that is why I call it achievement addiction. Now, before anyone misunderstands me again, let me clarify again and again: ambition is healthy, commitment is admirable, hard work is really, really essential. But there comes a point where achievement quietly shifts from being something we do to becoming someone we are. And that is where the problem begins. Think back to the day you became a chartered accountant. Do you remember the joy, the relief, the pride? It wasn't just another examination. When we checked that result, just to click that enter there, how much of effort it took, because there was so much of impatience in our mind. Have I passed? Have I failed? Am I successful? Am I a chartered accountant, or still I'll have to give it another attempt, isn't it? So it was not just another examination, it was a dream fulfilled. Your family celebrated, your teachers congratulated you, friends admired you. For the first time, you experienced something powerful, recognition, right? And there is nothing at all wrong with that. Recognition motivates us. It encourages excellence, it inspires growth. But over the years, something subtle happens. The applause becomes expected, the appreciation becomes necessary, the next achievement becomes compulsory. The mind quietly whispers, what's next, right? Imagine a mountaineer climbing a peak. He reaches the top, the view is beautiful, awesome, right? For a few moments, he feels fulfilled. Then someone points to a taller mountain, right? Immediately, his attention shifts. The mountain he just climbed no longer excites him. Life becomes, preparation for the next climb. Professionals often live exactly like this. Complete one audit season, prepare for the next. Become a partner, now grow the firm. Grow the firm, now open another branch. Open another branch, now increase turnover. Increase turnover, now become a speaker. Become a speaker, now get national recognition. Every milestone is replaced by another milestone. The destination keeps on moving, and without realizing it, life becomes an endless series of arrivals that never feel like arrival. So once a very senior chartered accountant told me something again that stayed with me. He said, Payal, when I started my practice, my dream was to earn enough so that I never had to worry about money. I asked him, did you achieve it? He just smiled. Yes, almost 20 years ago. I asked, then why do you still work for 14 hours a day? He was silent. After a few moments, he quietly replied, I don't know. That answer was more powerful than any explanation. Sometimes we continue running, not because we still need to. See here, 20 years back, he had achieved that much of money which was required by him, right? But yet, even today, he's working 14 hours a day. He's working relentlessly without taking breaks, without taking vacations, without, though he need not stress out so much, he can delegate work, he can have more people around him to work for him, but yet he wants to sit there in that office and work, and he don't even know why, what is his, what is that that is going to excite him for that, right? Because he has forgotten how to stop. So there is a difference between working because you have a dream and working because you know no longer know any other way to live. The first creates purpose, you have some dream, and the second creates dependence. Many professionals believe they are chasing success. Sometimes success is actually chasing them, demanding more, expecting more, never allowing enough. So I want everyone here to answer three questions on its honestly. Don't answer them aloud again. Ask them to yourself. If you received complete financial security tomorrow, would you still continue working in exactly the same way, or would you change something? Would you want to start that hobby again? Would you want to, make, instead of 5 days a week, would you want to work, sorry, instead of 6 days a week, would you want to work 5 days a week and enjoy your weekends? So think about it. When was the last time you celebrated an achievement before moving to the next goal? And the third question, who are you when you are not working? Take a minute. These questions do not test your profession, they reveal your identity. So there is a beautiful, irony in professional life. Initially, we work to build a successful career. Eventually, the career begins to dictate how we live. The servant becomes the master. Work decides when we would eat. Work decides when we would sleep. Work decides when we would travel. Work decides whether we attend birthdays. Work decides whether we answer our children's question. And without noticing, we are surrendering to this work. We are being controlled by the work. So let me ask you another question here. How do you usually introduce yourself? Most of us would say, hi, I am Payal Jain and I am a chartered accountant. Or maybe I am a partner at Falana Dikana firm. Or maybe I practice in this field of sustainability or internal audit or maybe government audit. Nothing wrong with that. But suppose if I ask you, who are you apart from your profession? Would your answer come as quickly as you said right now? Could you say, hi, I am Payal Jain and I am curious, I am compassionate, I am creative. I enjoy mentoring. I love music. I enjoy traveling. I am a lifelong learner. No, I don't think anybody here would introduce yourself this way. So sometimes our profession becomes so dominant that every other part of our personality quietly disappears. Whenever I conduct these kind of leadership sessions, I ask one question: what do you think retirement will feel like? Just ponder over this. What do you think retirement will feel like? And many people would answer peaceful, relaxing, freedom. Then I asked some retired professional. So some of they say something completely different. They say, I miss being needed. Not money, not office, not designation. Being needed, because for decades their worth was measured by their usefulness. The day work reduced, their identity also reduced. That is a painful place to reach. So a little girl, was filling a school form, and there was a question: what does your father do? And she wrote, he works. The teacher smiled and asked, what work does he do? The little girl replied, I don't know. He just works. Think about that. Children don't understand job titles. They do not understand you are a cheated chartered accountant, or you are practicing, or maybe, I'm talking about early age children, the toddlers, I must say. They do not understand what is profession, what is doctor, what is CA, or what is AI professional. They just understand patterns. If all they remember is that we are always working, then perhaps our profession has occupied too much space in our lives. Now, here I have another jargon: the applause trap. Let us be honest, we all enjoy appreciation. When a client says, nobody explains things like you do, it feels glad, isn't it? When ICAI invites me as a faculty, it feels good, isn't it? When I was called in BOFA 2025, I felt so wonderful that, I am of that cadre, I am a speaker of that cadre. When someone introduces us with our achievement, it feels wonderful. There is nothing wrong with appreciation. The danger begins when appreciation becomes your oxygen, when we need constant validation to feel valuable, because then silence feels like failure. When somebody do not talk about you, you feel ignored, you feel that you are not needed here, and you feel that now you do not have that capability of speaking. A free Sunday feels uncomfortable, an empty calendar creates anxiety, and rest start feels like laziness. So, the real test of success is not whether you can work continuously. The real test is whether you can stop working without feeling guilty. Can you sit with your family for 2 hours without checking emails? Can you take a vacation without carrying your laptop? Can you spend one evening doing absolutely nothing productive and still feel content? If the answer is no, then perhaps working is no longer your profession, it has become your identity. So let us, think about a new definition of achievement. What if we change the way we define achievement? Imagine introducing someone like this. She built an excellent practice and she never missed her children's PTM. He became one of the finest tax professional and still found time to mentor young chartered accountants. She served clients with dedication and also took care of her health. Wouldn't that sound like a greater success, isn't it? Wouldn't it be more sustainable? Why do we assume that these achievements cannot exist together? So, here again, let us do one more exercise. Take a paper and pen and draw a circle. Divide it into 8 equal parts, right? In one part, write professional, and in the remaining 7 parts, write things that matter to you. Just think about it and write it there. Like, for example, you can write in the other 7 parts, you can write parent, spouse, friend, learner, citizen, mentor, individual, and now shade each section according to the time and attention you genuinely invest in it. When you look at the circle, ask yourself one single question: does my life have balance or only one very large segment? Am I just a professional, or I am a multifaceted person? So at the end of your career, people will certainly remember your professional achievements. Your clients may remember your expertise. Your colleagues may remember your discipline, but the people closest to you will remember something else. They will remember whether you were emotionally available, whether you laughed often, whether you listened patiently, whether you celebrated ordinary moments, because achievements build a resume, presence build a legacy. So success is a wonderful achievement, but it should never become the only answer to the question, who am I? The strongest professionals are those who have a successful career without allowing their career to consume their identity. So, now that we have explored the psychology of achievement, let us move to another concept that every chartered accountant understands instinctively. Yes, it is called opportunity cost. In economics, every choice has a cost, not because of what we spend, but because what we give. The same principle applies to life. Every not now eventually becomes never. Every postponed dream quietly accumulates interest. Every delayed conversation has a cost. So let us discover. So far we have spoken, just have a recap. We have spoken about the hidden cost of success and the invisible leakages that slowly drain our lives. Now I want to introduce here you to one of the most powerful concepts in economics. As chartered accountants, we all have studied it. We will explain it to clients. We use it while evaluating investments, but very rarely do we apply it to our own lives. That concept is opportunity cost. In simple words, opportunity cost is the value of what we give up when we choose something else, right? Supposedly, a client invests 50 lakhs in one project. We immediately ask, what alternative investment are you giving up? Isn't it? So, because every choice has a cost, life follows exactly in the same principle. Every time we say yes to something, we are automatically saying no to something else. The tragedy is that while business opportunity costs can be calculated, life's opportunity cost often remain invisible until it is too late. Like for example, over here, when I am, delivering the speech here, when I am taking this webinar, I am losing that time that I spend with my daughter while picking her up from her tuition and going home. That 10 minutes talk that we have, what she has done in her day to day, or maybe what I have done today, and we discuss the next part, how is her studies going on, or how I was feeling today. So I lost this 10 minutes. today because I am in this webinar. It is okay once in a while, but then I have to balance that, right? So every morning when we begin our day, we think we are making decisions. Should I attend this meeting? Should I take this client? Should I accept the assignment? Should I join this committee? But every one of those decisions silently creates another one. If I say yes to another evening meeting, I may be saying no to dinner with my family, right? If I say yes to another Sunday in the office, I may be saying no to watching my child grow up. If I say yes to constantly checking emails, I may be saying no to being fully present with the people sitting beside me. So, opportunity cost is rarely dramatic. It is actually ordinary. And because it is ordinary, we hardly notice it. So, let us just have this case study. Okay. At 54, Arvind has, practice had reached a stage where almost professionals dream of reaching. One Monday morning, he received a call from an existing client. The client had acquired another company. There was a proposal for a large assignment. It would significantly increase the firm's revenue. Naturally, this Arvind chap of ours, he accepted. That evening, while driving home, his wife called and she said, don't forget, she said, Saturday is our 25th wedding anniversary. The children are also coming from, from outside for celebrating with us. And Arvind smiled and replied, of course, I'll be there. 3 days later, another urgent meeting was scheduled for Saturday afternoon. Then another. By Friday evening, he called home and he said to his wife, I'm really sorry. Let's celebrate next week. And there was silence on the other side. His wife quietly said, we've been celebrating next week for the last 15 years. Arvind attended the client meeting. The anniversary passed, the assignment was successfully completed, the client was delighted, the firm earned excellent professional fees, everything looked like success. But what nobody recorded was the opportunity cost, right? Now, what were the invisible entries if you see on the left side of the slide? Debit bank account and credit professional income, but somewhere else there was another invisible entry, and it was debit regret and credit missed moments. The financial books looked stronger, the emotional books quietly weakened. If we again take a live example of the movie Ikka, because I saw it just yesterday, so I have it fresh in my mind. So this particular client of Arjun Mehra, he called up when he was with his family, and he was like, "You have to come down urgently right now, and you have to meet this senior partner of yours." And he very politely disconnected the call after saying this, that I am with my family right now. This is my family time. I'm not attending the partners meet right now. We would be scheduling it for tomorrow. And he did that. And as the movie shows that he was, a very, very excellent professional. So that is why again and again I'm saying that your success, your ambition is not wrong. You have to have ambition, but you have to balance the other parameters of success also. So there is one word that successful professionals very frequently use, and that word is later. I'll exercise later. I'll travel later. I'll spend more time with my parents later. I'll slow down later. I'll enjoy life after this busy season. The problem is not the word. The problem is that later has no date. And because it has no date, it keeps moving. Have you noticed something? When the client says, I'll pay later, we immediately ask, when exactly? Isn't it? But when we tell ourselves, I'll take care of my health later, do we ask, what is the date? We never do that. Let me ask you something again. Think about one thing you have postponed for more than 3 years, not because you didn't want to do it, because you were busy. Maybe learning music, maybe writing a book, maybe traveling, maybe meditation, maybe spending time with your parents, improving your health. What is that one thing? For me, that one thing, I want to write, a bibliography of my daughters. Since, they were toddlers, in fact they had not even born, I have all those notings with me. I have all those, their first flight ticket, their first toothbrush. I want to create a book out of it with all those dates and all those things. But that later has not yet come for me. I still have that, even that book I have, where I want to scribble it down. I have all the notings with me, but my daughters have grown to age of 16, but yet I am not able to write that later for me has not yet come. So I don't want, I regret about this, and I don't want this to happen with any one of yours. So professionally, we celebrate addition, more clients, more turnover, more staff, more branches, more recognition. But life also asks another question: what have you subtracted? More income, less sleep. More meetings, less laughter. More travel, less family time. More reputation, less peace. Success should certainly add to your life, but it should not subtract from the very things that makes life meaningful. There is an interesting difference between financial loss and life loss. Financial losses can often be recovered, relationships sometimes cannot. Money can be earned again and again, right? A child's childhood cannot be repeated. A missed conversation with aging parents cannot always be recreated. Some investments compound and some opportunities expire. That is why opportunity cost in your life is far more significant than opportunity cost in your business. So, again, take a fresh page over here and write two headings: what I chose and what it cost for me. For example, let us take growing my practice. What did it cost to me? More pressure, maybe fewer holidays, perhaps reduced fitness, maybe postponed friendships. There are not right or wrong answers to this. The objective here is not to make you feel guilty. The objective is here is to make you aware, because awareness is the first step towards wiser choices, right? So just analyze this and understand, is this cost worth of this what I have achieved, right? When we reach the end of our careers, very few of us would say, not that I have reached end of my career, but I have learned from the experience of the seniors, right? That I wish I had attended three more meetings. I wish I had replied to more emails. I wish I had spent more Sundays in the office. Instead, people often say, I wish I had traveled more. I wish I had taken better care of my health. I wish I had spent more time with my family. I wish I had worried less. Notice something: most regrets are not about professional achievements, they are about personal experiences. So from today onwards, before accepting any significant commitment, ask yourself three simple questions: what will I gain? What will I have to give up? And I consciously willing to make that exchange? If the answer is yes, proceed confidently. But if there is even a little bit 0.1% of doubt, the decision observes another look. The goal is not to do less here. The goal is to choose wiser, to choose better. So life never asks us to choose between success and happiness. Very often, it simply asks us to choose wisely. There will always be opportunities, another client, another project, another assignment. But there are certain moments that come only once: a child's annual day, an aging parent's birthday, a quiet dinner with your spouse, a conversation with a friend, an evening with yourself. The real question is not whether success is important. It certainly is. The real question is, are we paying for it with the right currency? To ponder over it, yeah, think about it and choose wisely. This is all that I can say. Every decision has two outcomes: one is visible and the other is invisible. So professional growth is definitely visible, but personal sacrifices often are not visible. Wise professionals learn to evaluate both professional and personal life before making any important choices. So far we have explored what success gives us, and what it quietly takes away from us. So one of the greatest hidden costs we pay is in our relationships. Unlike machines, relationships do not fall suddenly. They weaken gradually, not because of conflict, but because of neglect, ignorance. Just as assets require maintenance to retain their value, relationships also require regular investment. So let us now understand one of the most overlooked concepts in professional life, and that is depreciation of relationships. The asset that appreciate only when we continue investing. So as chartered accountants, there are certain concepts that become second nature to us, right? And one of them is depreciation. Whenever we purchase an asset, we know one thing very clearly: if it is not maintained, its value will gradually decline, right? It doesn't happen overnight, it doesn't happen dramatically, it happens slowly. So year after year, sometimes so gradually that we don't even notice. I often wonder, what if relationships appeared in our balance sheet? Would we treat them differently? Would we review them every year? Would we invest in their maintenance? Or would we assume they will always remain valuable? No matter how little attention we give them, no matter how granted you take for them, because unlike buildings, furniture, or machinery, relationships do not depreciate because they become old. They depreciate because they become ignored. So many people here believe that relationships fail because of arguments. Sometimes, yes, it is true, but more often they weaken because of absence. No, not physical absence, but emotional absence. Think about it. How many times have you been sitting with your family while mentally drafting an email? How many dinners have been interrupted by, just give me 2 minutes, I'll be back? Those 2 minutes become 20 and then 40. Eventually, people stop asking you, not because they no longer want your time, because they no longer expect it from you. They know it is your habit. You're not going to sit there, even if you sit there with them, even if you keep your mobile aside, but mentally you are not with them. So, this is how depreciation begins: quietly, silently, without any announcement. I'm just skipping the examples here. One of the, because we are short of time and I want to cover a lot about right now. One of the greatest misconceptions of modern life is this: we confuse availability with presence. As I said, you may be physically present there, but mentally you are unavailable. Today, we are available almost all the time. People can reach us instantly: phone, email, WhatsApp, video call, Teams, Zoom, everything. But being available to everyone often means we are truly present for no one. Presence, what does presence mean? Presence actually mean giving someone your undivided attention. It means listening without planning your next day, next reply. It means sitting with your child without checking notifications. It means asking your spouse, how was your day, and genuinely waiting for the answer. So presence is becoming one of the rarest gifts offer we can offer another human being. Think about, five people who matter most in your life. Now ask yourself honestly, when did you last have an uninterrupted conversation with each of them? Not while driving, not while answering calls, not while checking emails, a real conversation where you listened more than you spoke, where you were completely present, where you had an undivided attention. If you find difficult to remember this, perhaps your relationships are asking for maintenance. Relationships rarely demands expensive gifts. They ask for something very much simple and inexpensive, some small moments. They want attention. Children don't usually remember the price of the toy, they remember whether you played with them. Parents do not remember how many gifts you bought, they remember whether you visited them. Friends do not count on your achievement, they remember whether you called when they needed someone. Relationships speak a language that has nothing to do with money. They speak the language of time, the attention, and the consistency. So, when a client asks us about wealth creation, we tell them something very sensible: invest regularly, isn't it? Not occasionally. Compounding happens because investments are consistent, right? This is the advice that we give to our clients. Similarly, the relationships follow the same principle. One family vacation every 3 years cannot compensate for 3 years of emotional absence. One expensive anniversary gift cannot replace everyday conversation. There was this Shahid Kapoor's ad, I don't know which jewelry it was for, and it had all these for missing the birthday, for missing the anniversary, and for this one is for missing the anniversary, this one is for not talking properly. So, this is what is irony of life. Even the advertised commercials are telling you this, but this is not true. Relationships do not grow because of grand gestures, they grow because of repeated small investments. A morning cup of tea together, a phone call to a loved one, a walk with your spouse, reading a bedtime story to your children, 10 minutes of undivided attention, not only to others but to yourself also, to pondering of what you are doing in the entire day, where you can improve or where you are lagging. You have to have that undivided attention for yourself also. And these are systematic investment plans, the SIPs for relationships. So imagine preparing a balance sheet with only one asset class: relationships. How would you value them? Not financially, but emotionally. Ask yourself, can my spouse freely talk to me? Do my children come to me with their problems? Do my parents feel they can call me without hesitation? Do I have friends who know the real me? Do I have at least one person with whom I do not need to pretend? Those answers reveal the true value of our relationship assets. So here, every chartered accountant knows preventive maintenance is cheaper than the major repairs, right? So the same principle applies to life as well. It is much easier to strengthen a relationship today than to, rebuild trust after years of neglect. Many professional waits for a crisis, an argument, a health issue, a child becoming distant, parents growing old. Only then do they realize what has been quietly changing. Why do you have to be wait until your health test shows that you are a pre-diabetic? Why can't you, just at the early age of 30s, you can start, why only 30? You should start very early, but yet still at an early age of 30, even when you are tested very nicely, all your vitals are correct, why can't you just start having that exercise routine? Why can't you have a proper balanced nutritious diet regularly? So, you know, this is a preventive maintenance for your life. Again, let us have a relationship audit now. Take a blank page, write the names of the five most important people in your life. And now, against each name, answer three questions. Just three questions. Make a column that way and answer three questions against those five people who are the most important in your life. They may be anyone, maybe a friend, maybe a family, or maybe your own self. Like, in Jab We Met, she says, Karina Kapoor, I am favorite of myself. So, yes, you can write that, myself. When now answer these questions. When did we last spend meaningful time together? The first column. Answer it. What do I appreciate more about this person? You also have to ponder about yourself. What do I appreciate more about me? What one action can I take this week to strengthen this relationship? What one action, for example, for myself, what one action can I do to strengthen the relationship with myself? Keep your answers very practical, and don't make them not someday, not next month, this week, because relationships do not improve through intentions. They improve only through implementation, only through your action. So let me ask you something very, very practical thing, or very crude truth of your life. Imagine it is your retirement function. Your colleagues will speak about your technical brilliance. Your clients will speak about your integrity. Your profession recognizes your contribution. Now imagine your family also stands up to speak. What would you like them to say? Would you like them to say he was very successful, or would you want them to speak he was always there when we, though he is, highly successful in his profession, he was always there when we needed him? Do you want this thing to be told by your family? The finest careers are those in which both the statements are true. So, depreciation is inevitable for physical assets. You agree to this? But relationships are different. They have a unique characteristic. When we invest in them, they don't merely retain value, they appreciate. They are like goodwill, they are intangible assets. Trust deepens, friendships become stronger, children become more open, parents become more secure, marriages become richer. Unlike financial assets, the returns on relationship investments are often invisible until the day we need them. And then we realize they were the most valuable assets we ever owned. Professional success creates income. Relationships create belonging. Income can improve the quality of life, but relationships improve the quality of life. Both are important. Both, one should never be built at the expense of the other. This is all that I want to say about year in depreciation. So we have spoken about success, we have explored hidden cost, we have identified visible leakages, invisible leakages, we have reflected on the relationships that shape our lives. But there is one asset from which every other achievement originates, and we can quickly talk about it. One asset that appears nowhere in the balance sheet, yet we determine the future of every professional, and that asset is you. Throughout today's session, we have spoken about success, we have spoken about hidden cost, we have discussed about opportunity cost and relationships. Now, I want to ask you a question that every chartered accountant should be able to answer immediately. What is most valuable asset of your practice? And you would say goodwill, you would say reputation, some may say clients, and some may even say technology. But I believe all these answers are incomplete. The most valuable asset in any professional practice is the professional. It is you. Think about it. Who builds client relationship? Who makes professional judgments? Who solves complex problems? Who mentors the team? Who signs the report? Who earns the trust? You do. Without you, the office is only a building. The software is only a tool. The files are only a paper. The real value lies in the human being behind the profession. Yet, strangely, this is the one asset we maintain the least, right? Every year, we ask all the clients, when was your machinery last serviced? When was your insurance renewed? When did you last upgrade your systems? Today, let me ask you something similar. When was the last time you serviced yourself? Not your car, not your laptop, not your office, yourself. When did you last go for a complete health checkup? When did you last learn something completely unrelated to your work? When did you last spend an entire day without feeling mentally exhausted? When did you last wake up excited rather than anxious? Because if the person operating the practice is running on empty, eventually the practice will begin to reflect it, right? So, professionals, always often believe they are indispensable. We tell ourselves that this project needs me. This client depends on me. My office cannot function without me. Perhaps, maybe that is true, and in fact, it should be true. You should be important in your life, in your office. But then let me ask another question. If your health forces you to stop for 6 months, what happens then? The truth is really uncomfortable to hear. Eventually, systems adjust, clients adjust, offices adjust, life moves on. The only person who may struggle to recover is you yourselves. So, why do we treat our own health as though it is optional? Now, human capital has four dimensions. I believe every professional should regularly invest in these four areas, not because they are nice to have, but because they determine long term excellence. The first one is physical energy, the second is mental clarity, the third is emotional stability, and the fourth is continuous learning. So, let us briefly look at all these four things. Many professionals, proudly say, I slept only for 4 hours. I've been working continuously. I haven't taken leave for months. Somehow we have started, treating exhaustion like an achievement. But let me ask you, would you trust an auditor who is constantly fatigued, frustrated, to make the best professional judgment? Forget about the client. Would you yourself feel satisfied? that the decision that you have taken with a tired mind, is it completely correct or completely apt? Would you trust a surgeon who hasn't slept properly? Would you trust a pilot who hasn't rested properly? Then why do we assume that our own professional judgment is unaffected by fatigue? Energy is not a luxury, it is a professional responsibility, actually. We live in an age of constant information, notifications, emails, messages, news, social media, meetings, opinions. The mind rarely gets an opportunity to become quiet. Yet, every important professional decision requires clarity. Clear thinking does not happen by accident. It requires space, it requires calmness, it requires peace. Some of the best decisions are made not in front of a laptop, but during a walk, but while reading, or sitting quietly without interruptions. Your mind also needs a recovery just as your body does. So every professional deals with uncertainty. Clearly, clients disagree, assessments happen, define deadlines changes, employees resign, markets fluctuate. Not everything is under our control. Emotional stability does not mean never feeling stressed. It means not allowing temporary situations to permanently affect our behavior. Our families should not experience the stress created by your office. Forget your stress when you step out of your office. Forget that stress that you have in the office only. Take it again when the next morning you come back. Our team should not experience the frustration that we have created elsewhere. Do not bring into your office. Professional maturity is not demonstrated only by technical competence, it is demonstrated by emotional balance. And now, the fourth one, the continuous learning. One of the greatest strengths of our profession is that learning never stops for us. Every year, brings new laws, new technology, new expectations, but learning should not remain limited to technical updates. Read about leaderships, read about psychology, communication, technology, negotiation, history, human behavior, because clients today do not only seek technical experts, they seek trusted advisors, and trusted advisors understand people, not only provisions. They understand what your client is going through. This can be, I have a webinar already put up, it is there on ICAI TV, about how to understand your client and grow your practice. So this is really, really very important. Whenever we travel by air, we hear the same safety announcement every time. In case of an emergency, please wear your own oxygen mask before assisting others. So have you ever wondered why? Isn't helping others more important? No, because if you yourself cannot breathe, you cannot help anyone else. The same principle applies to professional life as well. If you are physically exhausted, emotionally depleted, mentally distracted, you cannot give your best to your clients, to your family, or to your profession. So looking after yourself is not being selfish, it is actually the responsibility for yourself and for others. So take so, as I was saying, let us ask one final question to ourselves. What is the return on investing in yourself? Better health, better decisions, better relationships, better leaderships, better judgment, greater patience, longer professional life, and perhaps most importantly, a life that feels meaningful while we are living in it. That is a return no financial instrument can match. So, your greatest professional investment is not your office, not your technology, not even your client base. It is your own physical, mental, and emotional capacity to continue creating value. Protect it, strengthen it, invest in it, because when human capital grows, everything else grows. So now, ladies and gentlemen, for the last 2 hours, we have spoken a language that is very familiar to all of us. Assets, liabilities, investment, opportunity cost, depreciation, capital. As chartered accountants, these words are part of our professional vocabulary. Today, I want to borrow one financial concept from our profession, the audit report. Every audit engagement ultimately leads to one document, the auditor's opinion. It is the culmination of months of work. It reflects not merely numbers, but truth. This evening, I invite you to prepare an audit report not on your client, not on your company, not on your firm, but on yourself, on your own self. So close your eyes for a moment. Think back to the day you became a chartered accountant. Think about that young person, full of dreams, full of enthusiasm, full of possibilities, and ask yourself, if that younger version met you today, what would they admire and what would surprise them? Would they admire your competence? Certainly. Would they admire your discipline? Probably. Would they admire your integrity? I hope so. But would they also see someone who is happy, someone who is healthy, someone who laughs easily, someone who enjoys the success they worked so hard to achieve? Or would they quietly ask, when did life become so serious? Why are you like this? Did I study so hard for becoming this? No, you have to be that, again, that young person at a heart, right? So let us now prepare our own report. As auditors, we first identify strengths. So ask yourself, what have I done well? Perhaps you have built a respected practice. Perhaps you have remained ethical. Perhaps you have supported your family. Perhaps you have created employment. Perhaps you have mentored young professionals. Acknowledge those achievements. Professionals often move to the next goal without appreciating how far they have already come. Take a moment, recognize your own journey. Every adult also identifies areas for improvement, not to criticize, but to strengthen yourself. Ask yourself honestly, where do I need to invest more? Health, relationships, learning, patience, listening, rest, gratitude. There is no shame in finding gaps. Every audit exists because improvement is possible. And then have that last documented, if the management representation. If you were writing a representation letter today, perhaps it would read something like this: I acknowledge that I have sometimes postponed important moments, believing there would always be another opportunity. I acknowledge that I have occasionally confused busyness with importance. I acknowledge that there are relationships deserving greater attention and a body deserving greater care. I also acknowledge that success is meaningful only when it allows me to enjoy the life I have worked so hard to build. I commit to making decisions more consciously from this day forward. This would be the management representation of life. So, before we conclude, I want to leave you with one final thought. Imagine two balance sheets. The first belongs to a person with enormous financial success. The second belongs to someone with moderate financial success but excellent health, meaningful relationships, peace of mind, and a sense of purpose. Which one is richer? Just think about it. There is no universal answer for it. There is no set protocol for it. Each one of us will answer differently, but whatever you answer, make sure you live according to it, because our calendar reveal our priorities more honestly than our words. So when this webinar ends, nothing outside will immediately change. I'm sure about it. Your office will still be there, your clients will still call, deadlines will still exist, tax notices will still arrive, audit seasons will continue, the profession will remain demanding, but perhaps I hope so that one thing that can change the way you make decisions, the way you define success, the way you invest your attention, the way you value the people waiting for you at home. Transformation rarely begins with dramatic action. It's not going to happen that you will close this laptop of yours and you will be totally a changed person, but it will definitely begin with a different perspective. So here let me conclude in the only way every chartered accountant can. Independent auditors report, we have audited the life of the individual present here today. Our audit included an examination of professional achievements, personal relationships, health, learning, contribution, and purpose. In our opinion, the individual has demonstrated remarkable commitment, resilience, and professional excellence. However, the audit has also identified opportunities for strengthening investments in personal well being, relationships, and self care. Subject to these observations, the future remains promising provided corrective actions are implemented without unnecessary delay. The report is issued today and implementation begins immediately after this webinar ends. So, before I leave, I want to ask you for one small promise, not for me, but to yourself. When you reach home tonight, before checking your emails, before opening tomorrow's schedule, or before thinking about the pending work, just pause for 2 minutes. Ask yourself one question. If I continue living exactly as I am today for the next 10 years, will I be the will I feel proud about it? Will I feel Will I be the pride of the life I create? And if the answer is yes, just continue with confidence. But if the answer is no, remember this, you don't have to change your entire life tomorrow. You only have to change your next decision, because a meaningful life is never built in one dramatic moment. It is built through thousands of ordinary decisions which are made consciously, and perhaps that is the most important audit finding of all of us present here today. So thank you for your time, your attention, and your openness. I sincerely hope that today's session does not merely remain another CPA program that adds hours to your professional record. I hope it becomes a quiet conversations that stays with you as it has stayed with me when you make your next important decision. And as chartered accountants, we have the privilege of helping businesses create a true and fair vision of the financial positions. May we also have the wisdom to create a true and fair view of our own lives. Thank you, and I wish each one of you not only a successful career but a deeply fulfilling life. Thank you all the officials behind this webinar who have been working very hard to make it a success. And thank you, the beneficiary directorate, for giving me this opportunity. You all can connect to me through WhatsApp, email, or maybe on my LinkedIn profile. If there are any questions, I would like to take up, or we can, conclude this webinar here. Tech support.